Welcome to my Week 1 Games of the Week preview. In this video, I'm going to go through my top 10 games of Week 1, actually Week 0 through 1, starting August 28th and going through September 4th to include the Monday after that. But we're going to go through Week 0 through 1. I'm going to give you my top 10 games of this first week of college football. It's almost here. This is the last, well, I'm videoing it on the weekend right now, but you'll probably watch this later. But this was the last weekend without college football. I couldn't be more pumped for it to come back. It's just too long an off season. But in this video, I'm going to go through, I'm going to preview my top 10 games of the week. I'm going to give you the times and which channels they're going to be on. I'm also going to give you the Vegas spread and the ESPN odds. And then I'm going to look at each of these teams and say, do I think they're going to make that over-under and also which team I think is going to win it. And I'm also going to give you a player of the game or a player to keep an eye on at least for each of these teams. And then I'm going to do a quick wrap-up at the end where I discuss the honorable mention games that didn't quite make it into the top 10. So let's get right into it here. I'm going to try and keep these videos under about 10 minutes. That's my goal. It might end up being 15, but the sooner I stop talking and get on with it, the shorter it'll be. So here we go. All right, starting with number 10 on the list. It's actually one of the first games of the season. One of those, I think it's 4 or 5 games on the August 28th. Hawaii at UCLA. Saturday, August 28th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All times will be in Eastern Time on ESPN. Vegas here is not too big on this game. They think it's going to be a blowout by Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruins here. I do think that Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruins are going to have a great year. Finally, it's his 4th season with the team. They've been close. They've been really close to getting into it on the last few seasons that he's been with them. I mean, they've had some games that they only lost by just a few points. So I think UCLA is going to finally perform much better under Chip Kelly than they have in the past. I do think that they're going to be just on the outside looking in on a few games, but I do think they managed to get bowl eligible here and start moving in the right direction. I'm not going to go too in-depth with each of my previews for these games. If you want to watch that, I have a whole preview videos, a whole series where I went through and previewed every conference in college football this season, gave predictions for every single team. So make sure you go on my channel and watch that. I'll give a link to that playlist in my video. But let's move on here then. The top player of this game, Hawaii at UCLA, is going to be quarterback Cordero, the quarterback for Hawaii. I think that this game is going to be a lot closer than the analysts are predicting. I do think we're going to be under this 17-point spread. I think UCLA will pull off the win here, but you can't count out Hawaii. Hawaii is a team that's been getting better over the last few seasons. Some great quarterbacks there. Of course, they had McDonald before this, and now they have Cordero. And Cordero is a quarterback who can run and pass, over 2,000 yards passing last season and 400 yards rushing. The Mountain West is stacked for quarterbacks this year, but I think he's definitely going to be in competition for one of the best, at least one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the Mountain West. So I do think UCLA pulls off the win here, but I think it's going to be closer to about a 10-point win, somewhere in that area. But I do think it's going to be a great game. Make sure you tune in for that first game. Any football is good at this point, but this is actually going to be an under-the-radar game that's actually going to be pretty good to watch. All right, it's number 9 is going to be number 10 UNC at Virginia Tech. This is going to be Friday, September 3rd at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Mac Brown has UNC headed in the right direction. I am predicting UNC to win the ACC this season, so it's going to be exciting to see what he can do in this first game. If any of you returning viewers watch my ACC preview, you will remember that I said that Virginia Tech would win this game. Now, that was mostly because I think that UNC is going to drop a game that they should win at some point in the season, and I thought Virginia Tech had the best shot at it. But I am going to go with UNC winning this game. Vegas spread has UNC at 5.5 with a 55.3% chance of winning. I do think that UNC will drop a game at some point in the season that they shouldn't, but I'm going to differ from my preseason preview here in saying that when I was putting those games with each win and loss, it was just kind of to fill up that record that I have projected for UNC versus hanging my hat on each single game. So coming into this first week here, I think that UNC will win this game. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people are expecting, but I think it'll be slightly higher than that 5.5 spread. I'm expecting about a touchdown win here, but Virginia Tech is a team that is capable, a team that is going to have a slightly disappointing this year compared to what Virginia Tech standards are at least, but I do think that they're going to challenge UNC here, and Mac Brown better be careful in this one because otherwise he might get upset. He's had that happen in the past where he's got either too close or ended up losing games that he should win. The top player in this is not a surprise, Sam Howell, quarterback for North Carolina. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, if not in Power 5 in general. I mean, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. So make sure you tune in for that Friday night game, 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right, number 8, Boise State versus UCF. My Broncos traveling down to Orlando to face UCF at home there for the UCF Knights. Going to be an exciting game for sure. I can't wait to watch it. The Vegas odds there are 5.5 spread. UCF favored with a 76% chance of UCF winning this game. It's going to be Thursday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. on ESPN. I am going to travel to that game. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to go watch that game. Top players for this, definitely Hank Bachmeier, the quarterback for Boise State. I'm going to throw in a second player of the game here as well. The opposing quarterback, UCF, Dylan Gabriels. Both of them outstanding quarterbacks within their conferences. I expect them to both be top quarterbacks within their conferences. And I think it's going to be an amazing quarterback battle. Whether you're a fan of Boise State, UCF, or a fan of neither, make sure you tune into this game. Both of these teams are going to compete, as always, to be in competition for that Group of 5 slot to the New Year's 6. But these are also going to be two of the top teams in their conferences as usual. So make sure you tune in and watch that game. It's going to be an exciting early Group of 5 battle there against two Group of 5 powerhouses. All right, moving on to number 7, San Jose State at number 15, USC, September 4th, 5 p.m. on the Pac-12 network. Now, my player of the game here is going to be Nick Starkel from San Jose State. Going to be, I think, the best quarterback in the Mountain West. Of course, San Jose State having an outstanding season last year, were they able to beat Boise State in the Mountain West Championship game. The spread here is a big one. They're expecting USC to win by 15 points, and ESPN is giving a 93.2% chance of USC winning. I do think that, oh, you know what? I forgot that last game. I can't believe I did that. Sorry, to backtrack real quick, I think that Boise State will win that game versus UCF. Sorry if everyone's going, wow, you didn't call it out. I do think that Boise State's going to win that game, UCF. I think it's going to be incredibly close. I do think that it's going to come down to a field goal or at least a 4 points. So I think that 5.5 is a little high, but I could definitely see it coming down to a touchdown, but I think it's probably going to come down to a field goal or 4 point spread here. So I'm going to say just under on that Vegas spread there. Okay, sorry, moving forward here. If you want to get, I'm going to be coming out, Boise State fans. I've already come out with a preview of the Boise State football team. Go back and watch that. I'll be coming out with a separate video where I give my 3 keys to the game for the Boise State game versus UCF as usual. So stick around for that. Make sure you like and subscribe. That goes for everybody, but make sure you like and subscribe, especially Boise State fans, because that video will be coming out here shortly next week. All right, so moving back to San Jose State at USC. So Saturday, 4th, 5 p.m. Pac-12 Network, 93.2% chance of winning. Nick Starkel going to be a great quarterback there for San Jose State. I do think that USC is going to carry this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people are expecting. San Jose State has struggled in the past against some of these top-tier Power 5 non-conference foes here, but I do think that San Jose State is going to be close in this game. I do think it's going to be under that 15-point spread, if only barely. I could definitely see a 2-touchdown lead, scoring advantage here, but I do think that San Jose State is going to be close in this game, at least through the first 3 quarters, with USC potentially pulling away in the end there, but I do think it'll be below that 15-point margin of victory. All right, number 6, Fresno State at number 11, Oregon, Saturday, September 4th, 2 p.m. on the Pac-12 Network. Sorry, there we go. On the Pac-12 Network, Oregon is favored by 21 points here with a 93.4% chance of winning according to ESPN. The top player in this game, I think, is going to be Oregon. Has a lot of players they're having to replace, and they also don't have necessarily a confirmed quarterback, running back returning from last season, with, of course, losing their starting quarterback and running back from last season. So, with that being said, San Jose State does have starters that are confirmed in those starting positions that had extended playing time last season. So, I'm going to say Ronnie Rivers is going to be the player of the game, at least for me to be watching here. Great player. He's downhill runner. He's only 5'9", but he's over almost 200 pounds at 195. So, very, very stocky, very, very big guy that comes down, bowls through players. He averages 5.2 yards per carry. Guy that's going to take a couple players to tackle him, even against a Pac-12 defense like this. I do think that Oregon is going to win this game. I think it's going to be close, Fresno State fans. I do think it's going to be an exciting game for the Bulldogs, and I do expect good things from Fresno State this year. Even if I'm not projecting them to be in that Mountain West Championship title contention, I do think they're going to have a good season here and play Oregon strong. I do think it's going to be below that 21-point spread, so I'm going to call under on this one. I could definitely see this coming down to a 10-point victory here for for Oregon, but a close fought game. All right, number 5, getting into the top 5 here. So number 5, number 16 USC at number 16 LSU at UCLA. Sorry to stumble down the stretch there, but number 16 LSU at UCLA. LSU with a 4-point spread in their advantage. ESPN giving them a 61.8% chance of winning. I think LSU is a little overrated here. I don't think that last season was a fluke. I think that the LSU team that we saw go and win the national championship was riding Joe Burrow's hard. In addition, they lost a bunch of their supporting staff as far as the coaching staff there. Did manage to keep their head coach. They lost a lot of their supporting staff after that victory. And I think that last season's, where I think they went 5-5, last season's record was not a COVID fluke. I think that LSU is in for a rough few years here. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting game to watch. I think that UCLA is going to carry the game. So LSU, I'm putting you on upset alert here. I think that UCLA is going to carry this game with Chip Kelly finally, like I said, implementing a season that is going to be exciting for a lot of UCLA fans. I do think they'll be in a lot of their games just a few points short of having a great season, but I do think they capture a win here in their second game, not their home opener because they play against against Hawaii. But the second game here, also again, that game against Hawaii is going to be really good for them, even though it's not a easy win. I think it's going to be a win where they're going to find themselves, really get their feet dipped into the water, as it were, going to get their eye on the ball, going to really get their head in the game. Sorry, a lot of different analogies there. But the basic point is, I think that UCLA is going to come in with some experience, prepared to play this game and win it. D. Thompson Robinson Jr. is my player of the game here, the UCLA quarterback. 1,120 yards passing last season, 12 touchdowns. Also had 300-plus yards rushing for 3 touchdowns there as well. So an outstanding dual-threat guy here, and I think that UCLA carries the victory against LSU. So number 4, okay? So here we are, number 4. Number 17, Indiana at number 18, Iowa. A great bit, one of the 2 top 25 Big Ten matchups this first week. Outstanding. I love seeing the top 25 matchups, especially when it's interconference. Very exciting to watch. So this is going to be a real battle here in the back end of the top 25, but towards the top end of the Big Ten. Be exciting to see what happens in this game. It's at Saturday 4th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Big Ten Network. Iowa's favored by 3 points here, but only given a 58.3% chance of winning the game. I think that the Indiana quarterback, Michael Penix, who had a great season last year with only 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, carrying Indiana to that 6-2 overall record. I think that he is going to be the stronger quarterback in this matchup, and that Indiana carries the win versus what Vegas and ESPN is predicting. I do think it'll be a larger margin than a 3-point spread here, so I'm going to call over on that one. Just because, sorry, I'm a little sloppy on this first week. I promise I'll get better with the weeks preceding here. But just on the LSU-UCLA game, I do think it'll be above that 4-point spread. All right. Number 3 in the top 5 preview here. It's going to be number 19 Penn State versus number 12 Wisconsin, Saturday 4th at noon on Fox. That nice noon primetime slot there. Going to be Wisconsin favored by 4.5 points and a 57.6% chance of winning, so another close one here. Quarterback Sean Clifford, the Penn State quarterback, had a great season last year, almost 2,000 yards passing, 1,883 there, and 16 touchdowns. So I do believe he threw 9 interceptions, so he's got to work on that turnover margin. But he is a great quarterback who's got some great skills. I do think that Penn State is a stronger team in this. After a 4-5 season last year, I do think for them, opposed to LSU and some other teams, I do think that was a COVID fluke after going 11-2 the season before that. I'm excited to see what the Nittany Lions can do this season. I'm calling the win here for Penn State over Wisconsin, and I do think it'll be above that 4.5 spread. All right, number 2 on the list. So we're coming down to our top 2 teams here. Number 2 is number 23 Louisiana versus number 21 Texas. An amazing game, first week game. Probably is my number 2 on the top 10 games, just because you can't beat the number 1. I think most of you already know what it is. But honestly, this is the game that I'm most excited for. I think it's going to be the most competitive and the most interesting to watch as far as storylines go here. Of course, I'm predicting, if you watched my Group of 5 predictions video for Group of 5 race for the New Year's 6, you know that I said I think Louisiana is going to be the team to take that Group of 5 slot. It's going to be a big surprise for a lot of people. If you didn't watch my video and find my reasons for that, I'd recommend going back and watching that, and I'll put the link in the description. But number 23 Louisiana here versus number 21 Texas, an exciting game here. Of course, Texas, part of that Oklahoma-Texas packet, looks going to be leaving for the SEC potentially as soon as next year, though I think that 2024 or 2025 was the original stated goal, but SEC said they want to try to get them in earlier. So Texas potentially playing its last season in the Big 12, wants to make it a big one here. Texas favored by 8 points and an 87.6% chance of winning. My player of the game here is going to be Levi Lewis from Louisiana. Over 2,000 yards passing last season, 19 touchdowns, lead Louisiana to a 10-1 record last year with only loss to Coastal Carolina. This is a very good Louisiana team. I do believe that they will end up dropping this game to Texas. I think it might be more than the 8-point spread. I'm guessing about a 10-point victory is what I'm guessing here for Texas. So I think that they're going to get off to a game that they can win. This is going to be an exciting game. I think for most of the game, it's going to be closer than that 10-point margin. So Texas Longhorns, don't be sleeping on Louisiana Raging Cajuns here. And don't be sleeping on them at all, because this is definitely a team that can go in there and upset Texas. I do think that it will be a loss, but that I expect Louisiana to run the rest of the table, go in, play great in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game, and then be the front runner by slimmest margin of error, but front runner for that Group of 5 slot. So tune in for this game, whether you're a team of both fans. Tune in for this game, because this is going to be a major storyline team here for Louisiana, even though the Coastal Carolina is the meteor darling out of the Sun Belt. All right, that brings us to our number 1 game of the week. Most of you already know what this is, and I'm not going to go outside of the norm here. It is going to be number 5 Georgia versus number 3 Clemson. Basically a playoff caliber opening week game. An incredible matchup here. Neutral site, of course. Got to be when you have 2 teams of this caliber. It's going to be Saturday, 4th, 7:30 p.m. on ABC. Clemson is favored in this one, 3 points, and given a 69% chance of winning by ESPN. Of course, everyone's super high up on the Clemson quarterback, who I know who he is, but I am terrible at saying his name. And if you've watched my videos before, you've already seen me butcher his name multiple times. So I'm not going to say starts with a U. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm not going to try and pronounce his name right now. Maybe if I watch the games enough and hear it pronounced, I'll finally get it down. But my wife is a Clemson fan, so I have seen him play, and I am not as high on him as the rest of the country is. The quarterback that I'm really high on this season is JT Daniels, who I think is going to be one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the country this season. I'm excited to see him play in this game. Of course, he's already been out on social media. Maybe it was a report saying that they're going to curb stomp Clemson. I don't know if they're going to curb stomp them. I think it's going to be a close game here, especially with Georgia dealing with a couple key players that are going to be out for this first game. But I think that Georgia is the stronger team in this matchup, despite what the analysts are saying. And I do think that Georgia takes this game versus Clemson to open the weekend here for an incredible matchup, though. 3-point spread, I think that it won't be if it come down to a field goal. I think whichever team ends up winning this one will be by a touchdown or more. So I think that it's going to be over on this spread here, but I do think that Georgia carries the day. I'm excited to see what happens here for the first week matchup. So that's my top 10 real quick here. So the team, before I move on to the 3 teams that are 3 games that are just outside honorable mention here. Just like I said, just summary overall. The game I'm most excited for, Louisiana versus Texas. The number 1 game, Georgia versus Clemson. Actually, sorry, I should correct that. As a Boise State fan, the game I'm most excited for is that Boise State versus UCF. Do not get me wrong there, but as a neutral observer, as a neutral bystander here, as simply as a sports analyst, that Louisiana-Texas game is the most intriguing to me here. And the team that I'm putting on upset alert this week is LSU. Be careful there. That is going to be a very, very good game, and I'm sure that it's going to be going a lot different than most people are predicting here, with the UCLA potentially grabbing the win. All right, so the 3 teams, real quick, 3 games that are just on the outside of the honorable mention, and you might have been surprised not to hear me say this one. Number 1, Alabama versus number 14, Miami. A good top 25 matchup. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for both of these teams for this season, but I think that Alabama is clearly the stronger team here. They have a history of dominating even top 25 teams in their opening day weekends. I think that this is going to be a slaughter. I think that Alabama is going to carry this game by plus 21 points. So I didn't put it in my top 10 just because I don't think it's going to be that interesting a game to watch. Derek King, great quarterback. Miami, a competitive team, especially in the ACC, but they are not up to the level of competing against Alabama, and Alabama's going to crush them. So that's why I didn't put that in my top 10, even though it is a good, just outside, probably maybe number 11. Texas Tech versus Houston, a very interesting game here. Texas Tech, a vulnerable Big 12 team. Houston, better, I think, than people are expecting of them, and I think a good to middling, not middling, I think top in the ACC here, but definitely behind Cincinnati and UCF at the very least, if not also SMU and Memphis. I believe I am predicting a pretty good season here for Houston. Sorry, just to sidetrack here real quick. But I do think that I am predicting a pretty good season here for Houston overall. Yeah, I'm saying 9-3 for Houston, so I think they are going to be top in their conference. And I do think that they're going to be able to carry this game against Texas Tech. But I just didn't put it in my top 10 because I don't think it's going to have that many national impacting stakes here. And unlike Boise State versus UCF, while Houston's a good team, I don't think that they're going to be to quite the same caliber as UCF or Cincinnati this season. And then the final one, BYU versus Arizona. I'm excited for the BYU season. I can't wait to watch them play. As a rival of Boise State, I watch every one of their games, and I root them on in every game until they get to that Boise State game. They have a very, very tough schedule here, a lot of Power 5 teams. But I didn't put them in top 10 here because I think that they're going to go slaughter Arizona. So as far as a good game for a good upset, or upset per se, against a Power 5 team, it's going to be exciting to watch BYU win that game, but not overall interesting, because I do think that interesting for BYU fans, but not for the overall national perspective, because I do think that BYU is going to curb stomp Arizona, who I expect to have a terrible season this year. All right, thank you for watching this video. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Not just Boise State fans, all fans. I do general college football. This is one of my first videos here for the football season. This is my first video here for the regular football season. I've done some previews so far, but this is my first video getting into my regular football content. Every week, I'm going to do a top 10 games preview. And if you're a Boise State fan, I'll be doing keys to the game and summaries, but I'll also be putting other material out there that's general college football, as you've seen in my previous videos here. So I'm excited for this season. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, go Big Blue.